I would suggest to young girls, choose yourself. Ask yourself, when someone criticizes you, is it constructive? With the disruption of AI, 50% of the jobs are going to be disrupted. Because everything they learned in the last 3 to 4 years are going to be disrupted by AI. Everything that they've taught to learn can be done by AI. And yet they don't have the experience. So this is a real concern. Because the world is changing so fast, I would say you ask yourself, what 3 economies are you actually contributing to?
Hello, welcome to Coffee with Lucia, and I'm Lucia Chen. Today we're at Fremantle's beautifully located sailing club. This club was built in preparation for the famous America's Cup yacht race when Australia won the cup away from America in 1983. Today we're enjoying coffee with Dr. Sandy Chong, outstanding business leader and international speaker, who has been also recognized for her contributions to global trade, education, and community leadership. Hi Sandy, how are you today?
Good, thank you.
You
Nice
look
to be here.
glamorous today.
Thank you.
So to start with, I'm very curious. Could you start by telling us a little about your upbringing and your family?
I grew up in Singapore with a military father, and we traveled quite a bit when we were young. He lived in many different countries, and to some extent it exposes us to different cultures, different languages, different traditions. But essentially my family has always focused on education and service to others. So my father was very active in the community. He believed in not just serving the community, but also serving his country. So when we travel around the world, we meet a lot of people with very similar values as well. And so that was my upbringing.
Okay. Was there anything very specific? Like family cultures, for example?
Yeah. So both my parents were from Malaysia.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, Singapore was a very small place.
Yeah.
Still is. So every time when we go back to Malaysia, my brother and I really love nature because that's where we interact with animals.
Yes.
We interact with the wild, the sea, so we love it. We just really enjoy it. Most of our best childhood memories were actually back in Malaysia, in Penang. Yeah. And then obviously when we come back to Singapore, this was back in the 70s and 80s, Singapore was still a developing country. So it was quite competitive. The government didn't have that much resources like Malaysia or Australia. So it instilled in us this idea of productivity, being very efficient. You must save for the rainy day. There was no abundance. There was just a lot of restraint. Resources were not readily available. My parents were from Malaysia and they came to Singapore. It was just me and my brother. There weren't any other relatives. So it was very hard on my parents because they have to rely on themselves. It's a small family, so we just have to rely on each other and maybe one relative. And most of the time we just live in the community because that's where our family is.
During your learning and growth journey, was there a key moment that made you completely rethink your direction in life?
Yeah, I think when I was maybe from 2 years old all the way up to 18, I've always wanted to be in the military because I saw my father being this person who's serving his country, serving the nation, protecting peace. I thought, I want to be that too. I think it's quite natural for kids to look up to their parents and want to be what their parents are. And then when I was around 18 or 17, I watched this movie, this American film called Platoon. And I think it changed my perspective about what war is, what military does. And so I told my father that, this is not what I want. I thought it was about defending your country. And to some extent in Singapore, the military does do that. But in any case, if countries go to war, the effect is devastating. So I've decided at the time that I don't want to join the military anymore, despite the fact that I've trained to be a military officer for most part of my childhood and also my teenage life. I decided to go to the private sector. So I met a really good mentor. She told me that I could get these scholarships, and then I ended up in Australia. Before I went to Australia, I was spending a year or two in the private sector with American Express, which I really enjoy. I worked with such amazing female role models. It was like my first working experience. But my director and my vice president for the Asia Pacific headquarters in Singapore, they were just amazing women. So I didn't know how to operate any other way. I just realized that this is the standard and this is what I love. And of course, after I've earned enough money, I went to Australia and started studying my undergrad, finished it in 2 years, got a scholarship to do honours, and then got another scholarship to do my PhD.
Oh.
So I got everything done out of the way before I hit 30.
Wow. That's very inspiring for our young women in this age.
I think it was nothing really special. I think my motivator was that I don't want to go back to Singapore. It was very simple. My parents' marriage has broken down. My father's last tour of duty was in Australia. I came of age. I have a lot of friends in Australia, and so I thought, I want to be close to my friends, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go back, so I made sure I studied really hard to get scholarship and to keep going without causing my family any kind of financial burden. And so I wanted to get things out of the way, so I was overloading the units in the university. But I really enjoy being a student over here in Australia because I met a really kind and really good teacher who's my mentor, and he has been my mentor for the last 30 years. And he actually has a boat in this club.
So you've been coming here very often?
Yeah, quite a bit. The name of his boat is Verity.
Verity,
which is the name of my company.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's actually my next question. I know you have been a very successful businesswoman, and I just want to know what first inspired you to start your own business, Verity Consulting, and in the very beginning, what was the toughest challenge that you had?
So the year when I started my business in Singapore was the year the whole world was going through global economic crisis in 2009. It was a huge risk. I had to leave Perth. My father had a stroke. I just wanted to be close to him. But by then I was already in academia for about maybe 8 years. And I told myself that, I love learning, I love being a student, I love being an educator like my mentor, but I really need to see everything that I learned in theory put into practice. And around that time, Singapore government was trying to invest in Singaporean companies and said, they wanted Singaporean companies to grow internationally because Singapore is such a small country. The market is just not there, and they want to position Singapore as an international hub. So I was there helping the government and the businesses through this whole entire transition period. And we won awards. We had clients from 15 years ago still with us. We're very proud of the work that we do. Wow. But I guess it was that pivotal moment when I realized that academia was not good for me at that time. It was great, but there was just a lot of politics which I didn't enjoy. And I decided I wanted to learn. I wanted to be close to my family. And I think it was just right time. I mean, a lot of people would have said it's the wrong time because my father was actually quite worried about me. He has always been very supportive of me in whatever I do. But even that time, he was saying, are you sure? Are you sure you want to give up your tenureship? It's so hard to earn it in university. But I don't see any other way. I really have to go. And so I did, and I never looked back.
That's good. Look where you are now.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Still a lot of room to grow.
Yes, we both. And you've also been very deeply involved in non-profit and association work. You've been the chairperson of ASEAN Business Alliance. You were the former president of the United Nations Association of Australia, WA Division, and now the founding chair of the SCG Business Forums. What motivates you to dedicate so much of your time and energy to these initiatives?
I think service, again, service to the community, service to the country, they are all very important values that my father instilled in me. And I think a week before he passed away, we had a conversation on the phone, and I was being annoyed with him because he just recovered from his stroke. And I said, why are you doing all these things? You're someone's father, you're someone's husband, because he had a second marriage. And he said, Yiling, that's my Chinese name, he said, you can't just live for yourself. You have to serve. You have to support other people. And I think that stayed with me. And after he passed on, I came back to Perth. I serve on a number of boards in the university, in the industry. And I really enjoy reconnecting back with Western Australia or even Perth. Because when I was a student and then I go directly to being an academic in the university, I didn't really have a big social life. I was a hermit, I was an introvert, I was a nerd. I was quite happy in my own little world. So having to come back, in my early 40s or even late 30s changed my perspective. Like, if you think this place is boring, then you need to do something with it.
Yeah.
If you think this is dull, then you perk it up. If you think that your friends are not as interesting or you can't have that kind of intellectual exchange, then you owe it to yourself to go out there and make it happen. And that's what happened. It's nothing altruistic. I was just bored. But I wanted to also serve. And I very often when I interact with people from a grassroots level, I enjoy learning from them. I enjoy being inspired by them. I see that there is a lot of power in starting from ground up. And so with this aim of wanting to connect, wanting to learn from people, and also wanting to do something, make an impact, it just got me into a lot of fundraising activity. So I was originally fundraising for the UN Women. So all the funds that we raise goes to Papua New Guinea or some of the Pacific Islands to help women get buses to work. And I often wonder, why do we need that? Well, apparently, without that, they'll have to walk to work kilometers away. And sometimes they might also expose themselves to all kinds of very violent crimes, rape. So I thought we were very lucky. So every year I would raise these funds with the UN Women. And then from there, I guess the word got around and people thought I was good at fundraising. Yeah. So then the UN Association got me over, and then basically the rest is history. So I wanted to promote the organization. It was really undervalued. It's been around for 70 odd years, but no one hears about it. The average age was in their top 60s. Nothing wrong with that, but you need to have a bit of new blood if you want to get things done. You need to have activities. You need to engage the community. And so 2 years into my vice presidency, we increased the funding by 200%, increased the membership by 300%, and I dropped the average age down to 35 from 65. And if you look around now, you're one of our executives. Yeah, so it's very multicultural. Yes. We used to have Caribbeans, French, Canadian, Dutch, Japanese, South Americans, Asians on the panel. So it's a lot more multicultural. And I think it really served the purpose that we're trying to promote at the United Nations Association, which is multiculturalism, multilateralism, and globalism.
And would you say that those are the core values that have carried you through everything you've done?
Yes, yes. A sense of connectedness, thinking global ideas and making it local, being curious, right? Trying to learn about what human rights mean. How can we better improve our climate? How can we actually reduce poverty or reduce any kind of gaps for inequality? How can we empower our communities to be healthier, not just physically, but also mentally? How can we make sure that our planet is healthier? So those are just some of the values that I really enjoy learning, espousing, promoting. So that's the bedrock of it. And of course, later on, about 5 years ago, I was asked to chair the ASEAN Business Alliance, which is a coalition of all the business councils from the Southeast Asian region. And I think the key thing is not just to promote trade and investment. I see that as a pathway for economic empowerment and peace. Because when countries trade with one another, there's very little incentive to go into war. And so again, very connected to our goals at the UN, which is peace. But also, I am anti-war, right? It doesn't matter what side of the politics you are. If you advocate for war, that's a path to inhumanity. So I'm not for that. So what I can do is to continue to promote education, continue to promote economic empowerment, and continue to promote peace. And I think we can do that. I often share with people that the amount of funding that countries give to the UN, the United Nations, which is an organization, like all organizations, not perfect. It has bureaucracy. It can be slow because it's an organization that is 80 years old. This year they're celebrating their 80th anniversary. Like all organization, long-standing organization, there will definitely be burdens. There will definitely be history, right? But putting that aside, this is an organization that is trying to prevent war, that is trying to promote peace, that's trying to help people who has no voice, right, in the international stage. And the amount of funding that we give to the United Nations, a body like this, is less than 2% of what governments have put into defense, weapons. So think about that, take a moment to think about that. I mean, the fact that there are no guns and no bombs raining over our head is a miracle. Right?
It is.
It's a miracle. Like, you spend less than 2% of the funding that you put in weapons, and you put it to this organization to promote peace, and you expect peace. I mean, put the money where the mouth is.
Yes.
Right? If you really want peace, give 10%. Right? So as we speak, the United Nations is actually going through a crisis. You have certain countries, certain powers that don't want to support an organization like this, and it's deliberately trying to kneecap it. So I think the rest of the world needs to step up and needs to continue to support an organization like this. So irregardless of its flaws, its weaknesses, its challenges, I often ask people, just imagine a world without the United Nations.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I'm very inspired by your passion about your advocacy for peace. Yeah, because that's something that I have from my heart as well. Yeah. And I can see that these cross-cultural experiences in all these not-for-profits and associations have shaped you a lot.
Yes.
And if you could turn that into just one piece of advice for young people, what would that be?
I would say look beyond boundaries. Go travel the world. Learn from one another. I think the reason why I see myself as a global citizen is because I grew up in a family where we have to live in many different countries when we're little, right? Looking past culture, looking past skin colors, looking past all kinds of human flaws. We're all the same underneath, right? We all want peace. We all want a roof over our head. We all want to have upward development.
Yes.
And I think as a young person, the only thing you can do for yourself is to be open-minded, go out there, expose yourself, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it requires a bit of risk-taking, just do it, because it will help inform you as a human being in the future. And it doesn't matter if you become a teacher, a business person, a philanthropist, or an engineer. It would really help mold the person you need to be in order for our future generation to do well, in order for your environment to do well. There is no such thing as I'm going to be fine if I'm the person that I'm taking care of. I always try to explain this to people. Like, you care for your family, don't you? You care for yourself.
Yep.
You can also care for the community around you. It's the same thing. You can be proud of being an Australian, but you can also be proud of being a global citizen, right? You can't say that, me versus you, or this is my thing, and, I don't really care what's happening in your country, that the fact that you're experiencing flood, the fact that you have to, be put out of homes, or be in a terrible situation like in a war zone, right? Whatever I do is interconnected because we live in such a globalized world, right? So we need to not just be responsible for ourselves, our environment, our community, but also for the whole world, because there's only one planet.
Yes.
If you pollute it, if you nuke it, if you kill it, that's it. It'll come to you somehow.
Yes.
And the planet will survive. It survived millions of years. It's the inhabitants that we need to take care of.
Yes.
Right? So again, it's not something that is idealistic. This is very real. Right? Every year you see in Australia, we have more and more bushfires. You see our neighbors having climate apartheid, right? Which is a term that was coined by the UN in 2019. People who has the wealth and the ability will move to places where they will be untouched by disasters, untouched by natural crisis. And people who do not have that kind of privilege will continue to be displaced, will continue to be subject to all kinds of diseases, subject to all kinds of natural disaster. So it's concerning.
It is true. I can see that as Asian and Chinese leader in the community. What do you see as the unique strengths that Asians bring to a multicultural society or today's global scene? And have you also faced challenges or stereotypes along the way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure you experience the same, right? We come to this country. It's not where we were born. We come here with this ideal and this mission that we wanted to do better in life. And in return, we're happy to give. We're happy to put in the effort. We're happy to contribute. So I've always seen migrants having this attitude, like they have to prove themselves 2-3 times over because they felt so lucky to be in a country that is not in war, that is not poor, that is not having all kinds of inequality. So that is the base. We come here, we're very grateful, we want to contribute and so on. Having said that, it can be very difficult because, again, it's got to do with education. People tend to put people in boxes, and we all have unconscious bias. So I think that's quite typical. You know, we see a particular person with particular skin color, we just kind of put them in a box and say, okay, that person is maybe not as educated or less worthy, and so on and so forth. So that's the biggest challenge that any society, every society has to face. And then coming back to our values again, as Asians, we have certain qualities and also weaknesses. There's no such thing as good or bad or black or white. But I would say, you know, because we come from, again, you know, when I was growing up, Singapore was a developing country. Now it's a developed country, right? One of the most highest standard living in the world, one of the most amazing city in the world. But when I was growing up, it was a developing country, and we were asked to be very prudent with our spending. We have to work hard. You never take anything for granted. If you don't do this, other people would take your job. You just have to be really resilient, right? So you've been through that. I've been through that. So we're not still
exactly the same in mainland China.
Yeah, right? Exactly. The time when you're growing up, China was still a developing country, right? So I think it's the same for India, for Indonesia, for Thailand, for Malaysia, any of these countries, even Africans as well. Like, you just have to work hard. You don't make any excuses. You just move on. You just bite the bullet, move on, bite your teeth and move on. And so those are the kind of values that are really important for any country's economy. So when you look at countries that are doing really well, like Singapore, or even cities like New York or Silicon Valley, or even like Shanghai or Hong Kong, the reason why these cities are thriving or did so well or are doing so well was because it's a multicultural melting pot, right? People come in, they don't just take anything for granted. They actually work really hard, which is really good for productivity. And they spend money, they pay tax. So again, it stimulates the GDP. So we have a lot to contribute to society. We just don't get recognized, right? And I think other values that Asians bring in, particularly from where I come from, is that you do more, you say less. We're very modest. Yesterday I was in an interview, and prior to that, someone did a psychological test on me. And I haven't done a psychological personality test for a long time. So I was actually very curious about the process. And the person was actually saying, oh, okay, you're very competitive, not just as an individual, but as a team, which is good, because then you want the whole team to win rather than yourself. So you're driven, you're ambitious, you're very good at evaluating big data. Although you think yourself as an analytical person, you're actually quite a behavioral person. I was like, that's interesting. Never thought of that. And the funny thing was, he then said, you also have this tendency to take care of everybody but yourself. Oh, I was like, oh yeah, I've been hearing a little bit of that quite often. But I just think that, yeah, it's good to know that, because then you also realize that, okay, you need to exercise a bit of self-care. But there was another thing that he actually shared with me that I thought was quite interesting. He said that you're actually more modest than most. You don't like taking credit. I said, yeah, because it's our culture, right? Our culture is not about, if I win, I win. No, we only win when the rest of the team wins, right? So that's a quality, I think. I think the world is changing as we speak. There are many different kinds of leadership. And I'm really excited when we are moving towards Asian century. I'm really excited to see more and more Asians stepping up and also demonstrating a different style of leadership. It's not right or wrong, it's just different. And I think individualism is great, self-promotion is good, but it will only take us so far. And then you need to ask yourself, other than serving yourself, who else are you serving? As a group of people, or as a nation, or as a community, could we help elevate everyone to grow and to accelerate at the same time? So I think those are just some of the qualities like that the fact that we say a lot less, we do a lot more. We're very resilient. But the downside is we don't know how to articulate our worth. Very often we're waiting for people to promote us.
Yes.
Very often we're waiting for people to notice our value. So I think that's something that we really have to learn from the West. And I think it's not there just to self-promote. Yeah? It's a very fine line, shameless self-promotion versus elegant self-promotion. Yeah. I think it's still important to learn how to articulate your worth, because if you are a community leader, if you're a corporate leader, or if you're a politician, you need to inspire people. You need to be able to communicate effectively in order to bring everyone onto the same journey, in order for everyone to buy into your vision. So being able to communicate effectively is really important.
Yes. Yeah.
Thought leadership is important. Yeah. Like, we have great ideas. Asians are very creative, right? We invent so many things, but having to package it, communicate it, sell its worth, it's really important, because if you don't articulate your own narrative, someone else's would hijack it. And that is what I learned. Yes. In my years of the kind of hard worker behind the scene, letting someone else do the talking. So I think, that's something that maybe Asian youth can learn. And I think they're doing really well. Yeah.
We're improving, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I see you as a woman with a very strong voice on the global stage, and you have actually inspired so many young women, including myself. You are a great mentor. And I was thinking, how do you see female leadership? And what would you like to say to younger women to start their journeys or start their business in a foreign world?
Again, goes back to values. I think women in general love to be the nurturing, kind, and they want to help others. I think these are beautiful qualities to have. But I would suggest to young girls, choose yourself. Choose yourself. It's not about being selfish. It's about, if you have a choice between choosing yourself to be promoted versus someone else, it's important to help others, but it's also important to elevate yourself. You are so tired. You have spent so much time doing certain things at work. You come home and then you also have to serve your family. When are you going to serve yourself? When are you going to say, okay, I'm going to stop, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to handball my kids to my husband or my partner and just say, can you please do this for one day? I really need to care for myself for one day. So I think that's one thing. And number two, care less about what other people think of you. Yeah, I think, again, it's a quality to be conscientious, but to constantly be subjected to impossible standards that the society places on us women, particularly Asian women, it's mind-boggling, right? You can't just roll up your bed and just walk into an office in your tracky dags and a t-shirt, but a guy can get away with it, right? I mean, you and I both know we have to do our nails, curl our hair, do our makeup. You know how much time we waste on this? I mean, okay, I love looking elegant and I love looking beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. Vanity isn't human. But I think subjecting yourself to impossible standards, like, after giving birth to a kid, you still have to have a waist of 25. That's ridiculous. Or the fact that you are running a country, or you're a premier, or if you're a prime minister, and yet you still have to look immaculate, and that people will judge you by whether you're a good mother. If you're a good mother, you must be a lousy leader. If you're a great leader, you must be a lousy mother or a lousy wife. It's ridiculous, right? The identity crisis that women have to go through every single day, it's impossible. A man just have to rock up. That's like, hey, you're lucky I rock up. But that bit of attitude, that kind of confidence is great. Like, we can learn from men too. And don't be so hard on yourself. This is what I learned as well from my years of journey as a female leader, is that not all opinions are equal. Ask yourself, when someone criticizes you, is it constructive? Is the person a valuable human being? Is the person also someone you can trust, someone whom you can look up to, someone who really wants the best interest in your heart? Right? And then the rest are all noise, right? It's just human behavior. People don't like change, and they will do everything to throw daggers at you to stop you from upstaging them, making change, right? So that's their problem. That's their prerogative. Your prerogative is to focus on yourself, right? So choose yourself, care less about what other people think of you, and really just be determined and say, okay, this is what serves me. And if a feedback comes my way, I'll take it. But not all feedbacks I have to act on. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And I think that's relevant to men as well, I suppose.
I believe so. From your perspective, what are the main struggles that young people are facing today? And what advice would you give them?
Yeah, it's an interesting time for young people. I mean, with the disruption of AI, 50% of the jobs are going to be disrupted. And the groups of people that are going to be majorly disrupted are going to be the really old, because again, it might be harder for them to take on change, or, our brains can handle change, but to handle change at that kind of speed and that constant rate can be very stressful for some people. So that's one thing. And then the next biggest group of people who are going to be affected by this AI disruption are actually people who just finished their degree. Because everything they learned in the last 3 to 4 years are going to be disrupted by AI. Everything that they've taught to learn can be done by AI, and yet they don't have the experience. So this is a real concern. And youth unemployment rate is rising in every country. And what happens when you have that is you have a lot of dissent. People are not happy with their, they were taught that if you study hard, you graduate with a degree, you can find a job, and then you can buy your first house, and then you can get married, and so on and so forth. Nowadays, this is no longer feasible. I was just reading an article 2 weeks ago about tax and about properties and about how do we get more young people into the property market. So back at the baby boomers' time, like our parents' time, the price of the housing is only 4 times of the person's salary. Today, the properties are 9 times the price of a person's salary. So if you're young, you come out and you're only making 50K or 60K, scraping by because the rental is so expensive now. How are you ever going to save enough to buy a house? And if you haven't got a house, where do you live? Right? So you either live with your parents, that is if your parents love you or they want you to be around. And if not, then you will have to contend with this idea that you may have to share a house with your friends for the next 10 years. And money that goes into rent is money that you cannot save to buy a house. So it's a real concern. So I would say my advice to young people is to be adaptable and also to be resilient. Mental wellness, it's like our generation, we didn't grow up with social media. So we don't understand what it's like to be subjected to online bullying. Right? And then for younger generation, that's how they grow up. They grow up with that. They grow up with, comparing their current situation or their current wealth or their current happiness with another person. In the past, we only had to compare it with our auntie or our cousin in the village. Just there's always one or two very nosy relative who is always asking, what are you doing? But now kids are subjected to millions of people judging them, and that is abnormal, which is why you see a rise in suicide for teenagers. So I think anchoring yourself back, and recently I was in Geneva and I had the pleasure of being invited to a friend's house, and they are in their 60s, I'm in my early 50s, and there were these 2 kids in their early 20s, and one of them just broke up with a boyfriend. So she was invited to this house, and that evening none of us were looking at our mobile phone. We were just interacting in 3 different generations. And I think that's what young people need. Just throw away your phone for one night, go visit your grandmother, go talk to your auntie, go back home, and basically have a normal human interaction, right? It doesn't matter what challenges you have in life, whether you just went through a breakup or you just lost your job. You learn from different generations that, hey, you don't have to be perfect, right? And number 2, we've been there, done that. We have some good advice for you, and we're always going to be here for you. So I think this intergenerational support is really, truly valuable, as we are all so entrenched, into keeping ourselves updated, being connected. We're actually more lonelier than before. Because we lost this ability to connect with another human being. So this is especially important for young people. So get in touch with your family members, your friends. And when I say get in touch with friends, like you've seen it before, you go to a cafe, a bunch of people sit in a cafe, and they were all looking at their mobile phones. So that's also terrible, isn't it? Like you're sitting in front of your family on a holiday. It happened to me when I was in Spain one time. I was in a restaurant and a whole group of family came in. They sat around the table. There were like at least 8 of them. And 5 minutes into settling down after they ordered their food, they were all looking at their mobile phones. I was like, what's the point? What is the point? So yeah, being resilient is one thing. You don't have to be perfect, and of course, learn all these human skills because they'll come in really valuable for you. And I think also, because the world is changing so fast, I would say you ask yourself, with the skills that you've learned from the university or from your apprenticeship, ask yourself, what 3 economies are you actually contributing to? So the first economy is the digital economy. Yeah? Everything that is automated, big data, AI, machine learning, Web3, so on and so forth. The second economy is the green economy. Are you contributing to technologies, innovations that are going to help reduce carbon emission, decarbonize, protect the environment, protect biodiversity, so on and so forth, right? It could be in engineering, it could be your wellness coach, or you could be a CEO, or you could be an educator. Like, how are you contributing to this green economy? And then the third economy is the care economy. Because up until now, machines cannot replace us in terms of that touch, caring for someone, picking up these non-verbal cues that someone is in pain or someone is disturbed or someone needs help. So if you are in the care economy, you'll be fine. Your job will not be replaced as yet. So those are the 3 economies that I often, when I go to youth empowerment conferences and forums, that's what I've been trying to do.
It's a very interesting concept that you're bringing up, the 3 economies, and I'm particularly interested in the care economy because I think there will be more demand in this economy as we go with. We are in the very high speed technology improvement because like AI, you can see like how AI is today comparing to AI is 5 years ago. Yeah. It's completely different. It changed everything. And I'm also like I see a lot of my friends or younger generation, like they are just with their phones every day and just being absorbed. And the energy being absorbed, and they have been drifting away in the social values that, just like you said, they're not choosing themselves. Yeah, it happens to females and males, especially in the younger generation. So I think it's very meaningful that you bring this up. Yeah, and
also we are all aging.
Yes,
the whole world is having an aging population. So as we age and as we live longer, because now that we have all these signs, we know how to take care of ourselves, then there will be a need for human beings to help these human beings live longer. And it's not just living longer; it's also living happier, right? I was at Davos 2 years ago, and I attended this session by the World Economic Forum looking at longevity. Right? So there are many different ways of lengthening your life, apparently. So you can look at your dental health, you can look at stem cell research or stem cell treatment. You can also look at drugs. Certain pharmaceutical products can help you extend your life or even kill the cancerous cell in your body. But what was really interesting was one of the professors on the stage was a woman. There was only one speaker and she was the only woman. And she was asking this really interesting question. She said, how many of you in this room wants to live forever? There was only 2 people put up their hand. And then she asked the next question, how many of you wants to live longer, but happier? Nearly everyone in the room put up their hand. So I think it's not just about living long forever. It's also about living purposefully. It's about living with joy. It's about living with connections. It's about feeling like you're needed, but you're also able to contribute, right? So that's a very interesting topic, like longevity science at the moment. Yes. But we can talk about it another day.
Yes. So to wrap up, if you could leave the young people with just one message, what would that be?
I would say 3 things. Number 1, take risks, calculated risks, of course, and go out, have an adventure, experience life, be in a position of discomfort, because you never learn unless you're uncomfortable, and you're never stronger unless you've been put in a challenging position. So take the risk, put yourself out there, take the challenge, don't shy away from challenge. Number 2, form alliances. So it could be alliance at work, or it could be alliance in a family, or it could be alliance in a community. We all need a buddy to grow, right? So I started meditation religiously 5 years ago, and I wouldn't be able to do it if not for the fact that I have a meditation partner or a buddy. So it's the same thing like, when you're in universities, when you're studying, you study faster, better when you have a study buddy, right? So, being able to have that alliance, and I'm not just talking about people with love interests, right? Because that person can only satisfy so much of, your needs. You need multiple different friends, and you need multiple different alliances at work, in a competitive situation, so that you can grow faster. So that's second thing. Never undervalue the importance of having an ally. Number 3, stand behind your values. So people can attack you or criticize you for the way you look, the way you sound, how you dress, but they can never attack your values. So it's like an invisible shield, right? And it doesn't matter what situation you're in a public, in a workplace, when you're traveling, or among your families. If you stand behind your values, then people cannot attack you. So people die for values, if you think about it. Kind of interesting, like how we all have certain sets of values. And even if you meet people with very different values, that's fine. The most important thing is to have a dialogue. That also requires taking a bit of risk. Yes. Being able to disagree in a very constructive manner, and ask yourself if you are in a sound chamber all the time. I think the problem with our society nowadays is that we are misinformed by disinformation, and we are now in silos of sound chambers, and we don't communicate anymore across. And it's very easy to demonize people on the other side and stop listening. And I think when you keep silencing other people, when you cancel other people's opinion, and they feel like they cannot speak up, they cannot talk about their challenges, then the rally is what happened. 2 weeks ago we had this rally, anti-immigration rally, right? I'm an Australian. I've been here for 30 years. That's not Australia. Those are not the kind of values that Australians espouse. But obviously these people felt like they haven't been heard. They have been undermined for a long time. And I think it's about time we have an open conversation. Just put away the mobile phone and being the armchair warriors, going online and talk about your opinion. Talk about it in person, human being to human being. I think that's really important.
Thank you so much, Sandy, for sharing such an inspiring message to our younger generation of this day. And I do believe, despite of the thing that happened 2 weeks ago, I still believe that Australia is a very multicultural society, and it's moving to a better and more open society as well. So
I agree.
Thank you so much. And I would love to invite you for more casual chat.
Sure.
In both Chinese and English.
Yeah.
And 我是很觉得你刚才说的有几点非常好的，就是说关于怎么样去能够要关注自己。首先你尤其是作为现在的年轻的一些女性啊，我觉得就是很多人她们被社会的价值观带走了，因为我们已经在很多的太过多的信息里面，
对，
然后呢，这些信息不一定它都是对的，所以说我们需要有正确的价值观，要有自己的适合自己的一套正确的价值观，并且这个价值观我们必须要有一个比较大的愿景，就比如说我们要为这个世界变得更加和平，更加的绿色，做出更多的贡献。我觉得这个是现在的年轻人需要多去交流，多去打开，多去和自然交流，也要多要跟身边的一些人去 connect， 就是 people to people connection is more important than ever.
I really like what you just pointed out, because it's very easy to say, oh, I'm on the left, I'm on the right. I'm very conservative. There's nothing wrong being conservative. There's nothing wrong putting a rapist in a jail. There's nothing wrong to promote business, and there's nothing wrong to get rid of immigrants because they're taking away jobs or they're criminals and so on. There's nothing wrong with that. That's their reality. That's the information that they receive, and that's what the leaders are selling them. And then you also have the other group of people who are saying that, people on this side are wrong and so on and so forth. So the way I see it is, if we are guided by our values, right? What do we teach our kids? That's why I always ask my friends, right? If the person is very supportive of this I would say, this leader that has dictatorship tendency, right? Or fascism. I always say, how do you teach your kids? What do you teach your kids? You tell your kids, don't lie, don't bully, don't cheat. Yes? Yeah? 不要说谎，不要欺负人，不要造作。Right? These are the values that we teach our kids. So why would you support a leader that does all that? And they usually have no answers for me, because they're good human beings, but they've been misinformed. And they justify why they need to support a particular leader, because he did this, because he did that. But then if you look at all his behaviors and all his track record, right? Or the person's track record, the person is misogynist, he made racist remark, he bullies people around, and now it's like, how is that good values? Like, if you don't teach your kids those values, why would you support a leader like that? Right? And then usually I get no reply. So I think, this is what I mean by stand behind your values. Even when you are talking about, something that can be very divisive, like politics, right? It's not about judging other people, but it's just trying to ask and trying to understand and be really curious. It's like, what makes you want to support this person, right? And is there anything that I'm not looking, or is there anything that I'm blindsided that you see? Maybe you can enlighten me. Maybe I can learn something from you. And then when you go down to the bottom of it, you realize that, it's actually just insecurity. It's fear that's driving all this, support for this particular leader who is supposedly going to help change the world. So at the end of the day, you're driven either by hope or you're driven by fear. And these are two very real things, right? And it's like, it comes down to a decision of, do we pick this university? Do we get married? Do we buy this house? Do we support this community leader? Do we vote for this person? It's all, at the end of the day, fundamentally driven by either hope or fear. And so are we going to let fear dominate us? Just ask yourself that, right? I mean, can we constantly be controlled by fear? I mean, everyone has fear. It's a normal human behavior, and it's quite natural. Like, we wanted to protect ourselves, we want to protect our family, but at the same time, you've got to ask yourself, like, how long and how good, how constructive, how objective is this, right? Yeah. So if you look at a lot of disconnect, or a lot of battles or wars in the world, a lot of times it's because of fear. People are driven by this, and fear captures our imagination much stronger than hope.
It restricts you, I think.
Yeah.
And I think love and hope is the most powerful thing in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, for example, I'll give a very simple example. This person in your workplace seems to be able to do a better job selling himself or herself, right? And there's only one position for promotion, right? Fear, if you let fear controls you, you start acting in a way where it is very anti-competition. Right? You start bad-mouthing the person, you see this as a zero-sum game, you try to do funny things with your boss, and so on and so forth. You try to sabotage your colleague. But if you look at it from a different perspective and say, okay, well, maybe he has certain qualities that I don't have, right? And it's natural for human beings to be envious. Then you need to ask yourself, what is it that I'm envious of him? And what are the kind of skills do I have to espouse, or do I have to learn in order to level the playing field, right? So it's like you either put your finger and blame someone else for your situation, or you put it back into yourself and say, how can I improve from this? Right? So I think Asian qualities like self-reflection, self-cultivation, self-enlightenment, all these are very good qualities to have. And I think this is a good way of balancing our mind from fearing external things that we have no control to back into how can we better regulate ourselves? What are the things that we can control within ourselves? And how can we actually develop ourselves so that we are not affected by this, right? So I think, as I grow older, I appreciate more and more Chinese philosophies, Taoism, Buddhism, and I think there are these qualities that I see and I experienced when I was a kid, but I never valued. It's only after living in a Western society for 30 odd years that I realized that, oh, this is actually not a bad thing. I mean, why? It's been around for thousands of years. There's a lot of wisdom in it.
Yes.
So I think we have the best of both worlds. We live in a Western society that is very open, very creative, but at the same time, we live with, we have this upbringing, this Asian upbringing, very Eastern upbringing that is about responsibility, less about rights, more about how we care for other people, more about moving forward as a group.
Yes.
So all these are, it's going to be our superpower. That's how I see it.
Yes.
我也很同意，就是我觉得东方的智慧，它是有它的独特之处在的。就是我最近也是很喜欢，就是读一些我们过去圣贤的一些书嘛。然后你刚才说的 self-reflection, I think is a very, very good quality. 像我们俗话说的，就是一日三省吾身。我觉得，我们与其说我们太过于注重外界或者这个世界对我们的看法，我们必须要从自己的心出发去，就是比如说我们像是刚才说到的，我们要有自己的 values。那怎么样算是真正适合我们的对的 values？正确的价值观其实是需要不停的去 reflect on yourself， 然后去不停的去学习、去阅读、去思考。才会慢慢的去锻炼出来，包括我们要不停的去把自己放到让我们可能不太舒服的环境里面，去和别人去交流，去打开自己，这些都是很重要的。对，所以真的我觉得 Sandy 你也是作为我们的一个这方面的一个榜样，然后你的一些能量，你的一些 energy， 包括你的一些想法，其实都是我觉得都是很开阔的，都是能够带领这个社会我们的 community 能够到一个更高的 level，所以真的我真的很荣幸能够遇见你 Sandy。
Yeah, and it's a real pleasure to know you as well, Lucia. You're also very special, and I wish you all the best in everything you try to do, and I hope people who watch this channel could take at least one good lesson out of it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.